8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news, edited by Lal Mallavarachi and read by Indrani Senanayake. The headlines. Special envoy of the Chinese president meets President Ranil Wickremesinghe. China reaffirms its enduring support to Sri Lanka. A flood warning has been issued for low-lying areas of the Dadara Oya Reservoir and surrounding areas until tomorrow. The Asian Development Bank backs future water supply projects in Sri Lanka. Director of the Medical Supplies Division and 3 others were arrested by the CID for importing substandard medicinal drugs. In foreign news, premature babies evacuated from besieged Gaza hospital arrive in Egypt. The special envoy of the Chinese president, State Councillor Mrs. Shen Yikin, and the delegation paid a courtesy call on President Ranil Wickremesinghe this morning at the Presidential Secretariat. The primary focus of the meeting was to enhance tourism and trade relations between the two countries. The President expressed his gratitude for China's support to Sri Lanka, notably acknowledging their assistance in the country's debt restructuring program. He extended sincere thanks to the Chinese President and the government for their invaluable support in this regard. Additionally, President Ranil Wickremesinghe expressed Sri Lanka's desire to augment cooperation between the two countries in the fields of tourism, sports and agriculture. The President also noted that countries such as Sri Lanka, participants in the Belt and Road Initiative, are prepared to embark on the second phase of the initiative, which is expected to make a more substantial economic contribution. The Chinese Special Envoy stated that China is also prioritizing the extension of the China-Myanmar Economic Corridor to Sri Lanka. Additionally, both parties agreed to expedite the implementation of the China-Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement. Mrs. Shen Yikin reaffirmed China's enduring support to Sri Lanka and emphasized her commitment to strengthening the relations between the two countries. The flood warning message issued for low-lying areas of the Dadara Oya Reservoir has been extended for 24 hours until 10:30 a.m. tomorrow. The Irrigation Department warned of minor floods in low-lying areas at the Varyapola, Nikavaratia, Mahava, Bingiriya, Chilau and several other divisional secretariat divisions as the Dadara Oya Reservoir has reached spill level. It is a possibility of a minor flood situation occurring in low-lying areas of the Dadara Oya Valley. Accordingly, residents in those areas and motorists travelling through those areas are requested to pay high attention in this regard, while the disaster management authorities are requested to take adequate precautions in this regard. Meanwhile, 8 sluice gates of the Rajanganaya Reservoir have been opened at present to release the excess water into the Kala Oya. The Giribava Rajanganaya road is underwater and is impassable. 2 gates of the Kalavava Reservoir have also been able to release the excess water into the Kala Oya. The Mahavalley Authority says that all the sluice gates of the Kotmale Reservoir have been opened. The public living in close to the banks of the Mahavalley River have been warned to take precautions because of the rising water levels. Several roads in the Kandy district have been closed due to earth slips. A discussion has taken place at the Presidential Secretariat, chaired by Senior Advisor to the President on National Security and Chief of Presidential Staff Sagala Ratnayake, with representatives from the Asian Development Bank. The focus of the meeting centred on the upcoming water supply sector reform program in Sri Lanka, which is said to be implemented through financial assistance from the Asian Development Bank, the President's Media Division said. The deliberations primarily addressed the policy planning and monitoring framework integral to the proposed reform program. The key objectives of these reforms revolve around enhancing the management of climate resilience, safe and environmentally sustainable water supply systems. Additionally, the discussions delved into the strategies for fortifying the policy framework, emphasizing governance, sustainability, efficiency, resilience and capacity in water operations. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. We continue with local news. Director of the Medical Supplies Division of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Kapila Wickramanayake, and 3 others were arrested by the CID over the immunoglobulin impact case, police said. Niran Dhananjaya, Accountant Supplies, Assistant Director Shanti Solomon, and pharmacist Sujit Kumara are also among those arrested. According to the police, they have been arrested over the alleged involvement in importing substandard immunoglobulin injections using forged documents. The Court of Appeal has decided to take up for further consideration the petition against the Sri Lanka Cricket Interim Committee on Wednesday. Accordingly, the President's Counsel, who appeared on behalf of the Minister of Sports, Roshan Ranasinghe, before the court, mentioned that no further actions will be taken regarding the Gazette notification issued by the Minister until the next court date. The relevant petition was taken up before the new appeal panel of appellate court judges named by the President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Nisanka Bandula Karunaratne, as the previous bench recused themselves from the hearing the relevant case. The new bench comprises Justices Shobita Rajakarna and D.N. Samarakon. That ends the local segment of news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Vedamahatma.
The Cabinet of Ministers has decided that the stocks of sugar which were imported when the import tax was 25 cents to be taken by the government and to be sold through Lanka Satosa and other supermarkets at a controlled price. The Cabinet spokesman says that the sugar stocks in question should be sold at the controlled price of 275 rupees per kilogram throughout a period of 1 month. This is to resolve the existing shortage of sugar in the market.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Vedamahatma.
The National Dengue Prevention Unit says that 70% of school premises in the Western Province are prone to the spread of dengue mosquitoes. Director of the unit, Dr. Nalin Aryaratna, says, therefore, school authorities must take measures to keep school premises clean and free of possible dengue breeding places. That came to you in Watchlight. World News, the headlines. Premature babies evacuated from besieged Gaza hospital arrive in Egypt. Uttarakhand tunnel collapse. Rescuers to drill new tunnels for trapped Indian workers. Singer Shakira settles Spanish tax fraud case with a €7.5 million fine. A group of 28 premature babies evacuated from a besieged hospital in Gaza on Sunday have crossed into Egypt. It's thought they are traveling to an Egyptian airport before being assessed and moved onto the hospital. The babies were patients at the Al Shifa hospital in Gaza City, now occupied by Israeli forces after heavy fighting. Earlier, the Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza said an Israeli airstrike on a different hospital killed at least 12 people. Rescuers in India are looking at fresh options to save 41 workers trapped in a tunnel for the past 8 days. New plans had to be conceived after work to push in metal pipes through the debris wall was halted and rescue teams were withdrawn after a cracking sound was heard from the tunnel on Friday. Officials say they plan to drill 2 parallel tunnels which could provide an escape route to the workers. The under-construction tunnel in Uttarakhand caved in after a landslide. Colombian pop star Shakira has reached a deal with Spanish prosecutors to settle a tax fraud case just as her trial was about to begin. The singer had paid €7.5 million fine. Prosecutors had wanted to jail her for 8 years and fine her €23.8 million if found guilty. She had faced tax fraud allegations for €14.5 million in a Barcelona court. Shakira, who has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing, said she settled with the best interest of my kids at heart. To end this bulletin of world news, headlines again. Premature babies evacuated from besieged Gaza hospital arrive in Egypt. Uttarakhand tunnel collapse. Rescuers to drill new tunnels for trapped Indian workers. Singer Shakira settles Spanish tax fraud case with a €7.5 million fine. That ends this bulletin of world news.
Development news.
The government says the work on the first phase of the solar power project for religious places of worship will be completed by the end of this year. The project of installing solar power systems at religious places of worship will be implemented under the aid project received from the Indian government to promote Buddhist relations between Sri Lanka and India. That was development news.
Moving on with sports news.
Players from 5 teams have been named the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup 2023 Team of the Tournament. Stars from champions Australia, runners-up India, semi-finalists South Africa and New Zealand, as well as Sri Lanka, all feature in a glittering lineup. All-rounder Glenn Maxwell and spinner Adam Zampa are included after helping Australia to a record-extending 6th triumph. KL Rahul, Ravindra Jadeja and Asprit Bumrah are among the 6 Indian stars selected alongside leading run scorers Kohli and Sharma, as well as leading wicket-taker Mohammad Shami. Dilshan Madhushanka of Sri Lanka, who has taken 21 wickets during the tournament, has also been named. That was sports news.
Go ekakiyana youth කට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න as වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Consumer Affairs Authority says that officials have deployed to monitor the warehouses of sugar importers. There are about 20,000 metric tons of stocks of sugar in the country at present, sufficient for a period of 2 months. There are complaints that some traders sell sugar higher than the control price. The authority requests all wholesale traders to issue sugar at the stipulated price to retail traders. The Consumer Affairs Authority says that raids are being conducted these days to nab errant traders.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekakiyana youth කට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න as වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
We now take a look at economic news. Sri Lanka's state-run airports agency has made a profit of 26.6 billion rupees, including exchange gains in the first 8 months of 2023, a finance ministry report said. Airport and Aviation Services Limited, the state agency that owns the island's airports, has some forex loans taken for infrastructure development. The agency has earned revenues of 25.3 billion rupees of revenue in the first 8 months of 2023, up from 16 billion rupees last year.
Weather report.
And finally, we take a look at the weather report. The Met Department says showers or Sunday showers will occur at several places in most provinces of the island after 1 p.m. Fairly heavy showers of about 75 millimeters are likely at some places in the central, Sabaragamuwa, northwestern and Uva provinces. Showers may occur at some places in the northern and eastern provinces during the morning hours. To end tonight's news broadcast, the headlines again. Special envoy of the Chinese president meets President Ranil Wickremesinghe. China reaffirms its enduring support to Sri Lanka. A flood warning has been issued for low-lying areas of the Dadaro oil reservoir and surrounding areas until tomorrow. The Asian Development Bank backs future water supply projects in Sri Lanka. Director of the Medical Supplies Division and 3 others were arrested by the CID for importing substandard medicinal drugs. In foreign news, premature babies evacuated from besieged Gaza hospital arrive in Egypt. That ends tonight's news broadcast, and the time reads exactly 9 o'clock. This is Radio Sri Lanka.